Sonic Universe Issue 43. We start out with a flashback to Mammoth Mogul thousands of years ago, underestimating the knights resisting his rule, and he wonders how he could brainwash them with his strong magical powers. Then he gets news that there's reports of crimes against nature by the Albion Knights, abandoning valor in favor of results to combating them. Then we go over to Windy Valley in the present, where Shard blasts a hole out of a wall to escape with everyone. He then wonders what's wrong with them and has to be told that they have to breathe, nearly suffocating after being buried alive. Silver then reminds him that he kept the Earth stable while he tunneled them out, so he's going to need to recharge his powers. Shard realizes when his engine sputters that he's tired too, and reluctantly agrees to rest. We see Jeffrey in the Nanite City complaining about having to put his lousy wind magic to its limits. Wait, why would it be lousy? He doesn't suck at it. He goes into Ixis' secret crystal tunnel, and then he gets startled at seeing Ixis, and I finally realize that his face has actually, in canon, gotten uglier, and it's not just the art trying to make him look eviler. As Ixis explains that he's suffering from a minor sickness from the doctor's attack. He uses the Chaos Emerald on staff to fix the mutations, and Jeffrey says that he succeeded in his missions to get something for him. And Ixis says that their enemies have fallen, and explains that he's crafting a chamber of ancient Ixis design, not seen since the Forgotten Wars. And its amplifying effects, among with the power of Vale's bones that Jeffrey brought him, will let him cast one of his Orda's most powerful spells. Jeffrey is told that they're under the Royal Military Headquarters, and Ixis says that soon his will replace the will of the Council, letting him brainwash them completely. Wasn't he already doing that earlier? Although back then he was only slightly brainwashing them with those powers that only activate when they're afraid, manipulating their cowardice. I really have to wonder why he has to go through all this trouble to get a better brainwashing spell when he brainwashed all of those soldiers against the Robians perfectly fine in Return of the King, and all he did was possess the king, who has no magic of his own. The way I would have rewritten the Ixis saga is that he would have brainwashed the citizens to explain why the fuck they would ever support him so easily. And he would brainwash the council as well, to make it make sense, but he wouldn't be able to brainwash the heroes. I guess they wouldn't. I guess he'd run out of brainwashing juice or something from exerting his power too much, and they wouldn't be able to brainwash anymore until he comes here. But instead, they're trying to pretend that he never brainwashed at all until this point. It's here where Jeffrey snaps at him, saying that he's gone too far. Ixis then tells him that he's not one to lecture him on morality. He can't defeat him on his own, no freedom fighter would trust him, and his way is the only option left to him. Jeffrey looks sad, and Ixis says that he'll forgive him, and assures him that the citizens will know a new age of prosperity, and he'll have plenty of time to cure himself. Jeffrey falls to the floor looking horrified, and is told to rest and then search for the bodies of people who tried to spy on him. Meanwhile, Director Who naturally lectures Silver's team for failing when they're the most powerful of the two teams under him. Yeah, you'd think Silver would have been able to telekinetically grab Jeffrey. Silver finally reminds him that they completed the mission of putting a tracking device on Jeffrey's airboard, and says they're still new to covert operations. They all go to the pit with Larry, hoping that his luck didn't jinx him into dying on them. I wonder how many times that's happened to him. The two teams meet up with each other right away, and talk about what they found. Meanwhile, Jeffrey recognizes Shard's power core, and we see that this is the same one as the one his team at Do Nothing Elise discovered when investigating Mount Mobius. When Eggman returned, he made a point of stealing the core back because he didn't want him recovering his best creation, and it turned out to be handy for making Metal Sonic Troopers later. Jeffrey thinks that with a bunch of covert agents with Metal Sonic as backup, he smirks and figures out that it's Uncle Chuck and the Owl Guy who are behind them. The team talks about how they need to interrogate Jeffrey, harshly. And when Silver says with Jeffrey spying on them that he could just ask him about what's going on, Jeffrey looks stunned at being trusted so easily. Elias doubts that he'd give up information that easily, and Silver hopes that he can appeal to his better senses, being the first person to show good faith in him in a long time. Silver relates to Jeffrey to reason with Elias, saying that he knows what it's like to throw everything into a plan with good intentions and see it fall apart. Jeffrey wants a better government, and most of his life he grew up being taught by Ixis. Silver says that he thinks Jeffrey's trying to do the right thing, but maybe things aren't turning out how he's planned, and it's hard to back out of a thing like that, and he doesn't have a team to fall back on now. Elias reluctantly agrees to let Silver ask him, and Jeffrey looks sad. Then we cut to the next day at the Lake of Rings because I guess Ixis is taking forever with his spell, despite having all night, and Jeffrey felt too self-conscious to just walk up to them and talk to them right then and there. Silver says to Jeffrey on the park bench, "Good morning, Commander," addressing him with a sign of respect. And Jeffrey says with a friendly smile, "Sorry about that bit of business the other day, nothing personal." He says that with Chardon aside, the deck was stacked against him, revealing that he knows all about what's going on. Although, with Jeffrey immediately saying nothing personal about yesterday, and Silver immediately saying right away, "You buried us alive," Silver shouldn't be so surprised that Jeffrey knows everything about this, because even if Jeffrey didn't know, he gave it all away anyways. Silver admits that he's done research on him, as he doesn't think Jeffrey would want to harm the citizens on purpose. Finally, someone says to Jeffrey that his wife wouldn't agree with what he was doing. Jeffrey briefly glares at him for the low blow, but then looks depressed and admits that it's too late for him now. Silver says that he can still save the city, and Jeffrey reveals getting up that Ixis is casting a spell tonight as the council gathers to ratify the new constitution to take control of them. He tells him not to let it happen. He says, "Like I said, it's too late for me. You've got a future to save. I don't. See you around, kid." Later on, Director Who, with Ellie's alone with him, compliments Silver on trying the direct approach and says that he wouldn't have let Jeffrey go either. Elias points out that Jeffrey seems volatile, and if he falls apart, that could help the heroes as much as it hurt Ixis. Well, he was talking as if he'd outright give up on life, considering he says he has no future, and I wouldn't blame him at this point, so while Elias is right, it sounds really cruel if you consider this. Really, he could help the heroes a lot with this magic, but they'd probably just prefer to put him in prison the minute Ixis is defeated. Like, remember when Jeffrey was trying to help defeat the Battlebird Armada? And they just didn't let him help at all because they were mad at him. Ellie says that of their two targets, one is very crowded and the other lethal, so if they can't stop Ixis, they'll need a very low-profile plan B. He wishes that he could just come out and tell people what's happening. And Harvey Who says that Naugus would cave in the chamber and cover his tracks, and Nicole, Uncle Chuck, and the rest of them would be ungratefully tried for treason after everything they did to help. So, like, the council would do that to them? Even after learning that Ixis tried to brainwash them? Is that what I'm being told? The story ends with them getting ready to leave for another big mission. This issue is by Ian Flynn. I'm impressed they actually bothered to have Jeffrey object to Ixis' brainwashing plan, and even feel the absolute worst of regret and say that it's too late for him now. So maybe he really was just manipulated, even though Ixis is so obviously evil just by looking at him. Or maybe seeing how evil he really was snapped him out of the brainwashing. Just like how in the Fleetway comic, Tails saw how evil Eggman was, and that snapped him out of the brainwashing. It'd be fine if Jeffrey at least said that Ixis was the lesser evil to Eggman and could help stop him, instead of acting like he was a saint his whole life. It's good that they established why Jeffrey doesn't try to stop Ixis, being told that he can't beat him alone, even though, well, I guess Ixis is too powerful to just have his neck snapped, and maybe Jeffrey would feel bad about it. Like, maybe, like, Ixis can morph into the elements, after all. And he also says that nobody would trust Jeffrey anymore, so he can't go for backup. And I loved him seeing Silver stand up for him and getting all sad, and being told that Hershey wouldn't approve of his behavior. It's proving that the writer is remembering who Jeffrey is as a person and not just using him as an Ixis agent. About time. The heartfelt talk between him and Silver was an excellent part of the story. It really shows off Silver's idealism working in his team's favor. It's stuff like this that reminds me why Flynn can be a good writer. The problem is that Ixis' plan creates a huge plot hole. Why was Ixis able to brainwash all the soldiers of the king into hunting down Robian to the point where they had so much mind control they didn't even remember what had happened during it, but to brainwash the council, which is probably much less people? He has to go through all of this rigmarole. It doesn't make much sense considering past events in the comic. It's not like he's become less powerful since then. Again, I would have rewritten it so that he brainwashed the citizens in the council into becoming the king, and this was just a plan to brainwash the heroes into supporting him.